Hey, I really hope that you all are having a blessed day. So the reason why I'm on is because the Lord has been dealing with me, on a majority of the comments that were made on the video I did when you all were saying that I mixed up condemnation with I should have been using conviction instead of condemnation. And God has been dealing with me on that, in helping me to understand in a sense that when I'm speaking during that time, I'm not speaking of my own self-will. And he wanted me to come on and correct it. Condemnation is as sweet as honey too, because when you understand the purpose as to what he was saying is a lot of us concentrate on what the wicked is doing, and God needs us to get to a point to where we understand that what the wicked is doing doesn't matter, because yes, they are there condemning you, but understand why God is allowing you to face condemnation, because there is a bigger purpose. There's always a blessing after the cursing if you faint not. So the reason why he wanted me to come on, he keeps bringing me back to 2 Samuel chapter 16, starting at verse 5. And I'm going to read it to you because David faced this. But David was wise. Although in that period he was being condemned and he was being cursed, he understood that the reason why God had allowed the cursing was so that God could, the way he said it was like, look upon him and being in that downcast state and use it as an opportunity to bless him. So this is when Shimei curses David. So at verse 5, it says, as King David approached Baharim, a man from the same clan as Saul's family came out from there. His name was Shimei, son of Gera, and he cursed as he came out. He pelted David and all the king's officials with stones. Though all the troops in the special guard were on David's right and left as he cursed, Shimei said, get out, you murderer, you scoundrel. The Lord has replied you for all the blood you shed in the house of Saul, in whose place you have reigned. The Lord has given the kingdom into the hands of your son, Absalom. You have come to ruin because you are a murderer. Then Abishai, son of Zeruiah, said to the king, why should this dead dog curse my Lord? Y'all give me a minute. Let me go on to... Why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go over and cut off his head. But the king said, what does this have to do with you, you sons of Zeruiah? If he is cursing because the Lord said to him, curse David, who can ask, why do you do this? So David understood that sometimes God allows condemnation to take place into the lives of his children because he is wishing to do something. He is he is wanting to do something. There's a greater intent behind that, but a lot of us tend to concentrate on what the enemy is doing instead of understanding why God allowed it, or concentrating onto the fact as to why God allowed it, because there's always a greater intent. There's always a greater blessing behind everything that God allows to happen in the lives of his children. But we tend to always concentrate on the negative. So again, the Holy Spirit keeps putting in my heart, condemnation is as sweet as honey. Conviction is as sweet as honey, because there is always a greater intent behind that. And also he was saying, and then in the end, I'm going to fast forward. You could go back and you could read 2 Samuel chapter 16 and verify that what I'm saying is true. In the end, David was right. God did use that situation of him being condemned by Shimei, cursed, pelted by stones, and everything else that he went through during that time period. God did use that very thing in order to get David the victory in the end. And then once David had gotten the victory, I believe it was once it was once Solomon had rose up into the kingdom. Yes, because Shimei was the one. David had already told Solomon what to do and how to handle Shimei. Yeah, Shimei ended up dying anyway for what he had done. I believe Shimei was the one, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I really feel I'm right on that story. But Shimei was the one Solomon had told him that he would spare his life, but he couldn't leave, his home. And something happened to where one of his slaves or handmaidens, workers, somebody, they went out into another country, and then he found out as to where they were located, and he disobeyed the command that God had told Solomon to tell him. So he ended up leaving anyway and going where he wanted to go get the slave. And when he came back, King Solomon had brought it to his attention. And sure enough, they killed him. They killed Shimei. Shimei died. If I am wrong, I'm going to re-look that story up once I get off, just to verify that I'm right, and I'll comment at the bottom if I am incorrect about that situation. But I really feel that that is what happened. But anyway, a lot of people tend to get easily offended, at the sound of something that the enemy can do or is doing, and the enemy ain't nobody. Concentrate on what God is doing in this time, because the victory is yours. And look, at the end, David got the victory. Everything still worked out for his good, and no condemnation could keep him from walking and moving forward into what God had planned for him to begin with. So you all be blessed. Oh, thank you, Holy Spirit. So I was reminded of a time I was staying at my grandmother's house. And while I was at my grandmother's house, I was in her bedroom and I was living there. I would sleep with her during the time period while I was living with her until we ended up moving into this house. And one day my grandmother, she had just snapped and she just began to curse me. And she was saying the reason why everything bad is happening to you is because God has forsaken you. He left you. He doesn't want anything to do with you. You sin. You do. I mean, like all kind of stuff, like cursing me, and it was bad. And perfect example. During that time period, I ended up getting back into an altercation. I ended up like arguing, going back and forth with her. And long story short, I had failed because I wasn't supposed to do anything. During that time, God was still teaching me that he was the one who fought my battles. And because of that, I don't have to say anything. I don't have to, debate and go back and forth with people. And long story short, the Lord let me sit there for a whole nother 3 months until he decided to bring that test back around to me again. And after he brought it back around to me again, I passed it with flying colors because I understood, what I was supposed to do. And see, basically what he's trying to say is condemnation. When you see condemnation coming against you, somebody cursing you, somebody trying to do some kind of harm to you and saying things that you know is not true about you, and they're trying to condemn you and push you down in a pit and make you feel or see things their way, which is what they're saying about you is false anyway. When you see that coming, there is a greater intent behind that. If you in that place right now, there is a greater intent behind that. Don't be like me and have to sit at another place for 3 more months until it came back around again. And then I learned my lesson and I shut up. And there was a greater intent behind that. God had a house for me, a place where me and my children could go. And after I finally got it, then I was able to move in. Because he had to teach me during that time period, I don't fight my own battles. No matter what's coming against me, stand and be quiet, knowing and trusting God got it. All right, you all be blessed. And if I am incorrect, I'm going to fix it down at the bottom. But other than that, you all be blessed and have a good day. See y'all next time. Bye.